Yo, what is up, travelers? Second Survives here, and I wanted to finally get my Glacier Mage build ideas out there to you guys to kind of just give you something to think about as far as builds and whatnot. So this is kind of going to be like a Mage concept build here. I have two builds here for you, and with the coming update, I wanted to get this Mage build out there. It's going to be for Sorcerer. This is my level 60 Sorcerer, and I've just got to maps, so this is really just early on conceptual type of stuff, but I think these are really fun, cool builds. So this first one's like a hit-based Glacier build, and it's basically relying on a couple things in the Sorcerer tree. One is the Lost Knowledge ward gain per max mana use. We're going to be using a lot of mana, and then basically just all the cold node spells here. Mana regen, because we are going to be using a lot of mana. It's kind of like a mana recycler build, and it's going to be hit based, so we do like crit and all that good stuff, and I like to have the reactive ward for hardcore just to make sure I don't die, right? But anyway, so this is just like I said, level 60 character, and it's a hit based Glacier build, and every time we spend mana, we're getting that mana back in ward, which is really strong for defenses, obviously. I recommend using a shield. Right now I'm using a ward generator catalyst, which is really good for now, and you can use catalyst too, but getting that block is just like really powerful defensive layer. But anyway, so basically here we're just using Glacier for like all of our damage, and I also have a Volcanic Orb to deal with like things that are a little bit farther away. If you have a lot of enemies like all around you, it's very useful to just throw out a Volcanic Orb in like their direction, and then you can continue doing what you're going to do. So anyway, this is basically just how the gameplay works, and we have actually the cool thing about this build is focus is our teleport here. So I'm out of mana, so I'm gonna go ahead and just focus up, get that mana back. And as far as bosses and things that have a lot of health, this build's going to be using what is this called again? Arcane Ascendance. And basically the idea here is, once I have everything kind of cleared, I'll go over here and just pop it, and then just like spam ice or spam my Glacier till I'm out of mana. And as soon as you run out of mana, the lockdown feature of Arcane Ascendance will let you out, because you have no longer have mana. So I highly recommend just like spamming Glacier, which will not only do a ton of damage, but it will also give you a ton of ward for like survivability too. But the thing that you want to make sure, like, it's kind of a combo where I'm out of mana right now, so I'm going to go ahead and use my focus, and you have a bunch of armor and stuff with focus, so you don't really have to worry too much. Oh, I just took a big hit there though. So you're going to want to be careful about where you position with this build. It is a mage build, so or caster like range build, so your positioning really matters. Alright, I want to do a quick rundown of the passive tree here. For Glacier, we're going to be basically just focusing on the middle explosion and focusing on chance to chill. So we're going to get Chilling Force first, at least that's what I like to get first, and then the hit damage while it's chilled for middle explosion, and then also this one will double the chill chance and then increase hit damage. Very strong, very good. And then just go up here to Breaking Point. This is a very important node for the mana efficiency. Disable the largest explosion for that reduced mana cost, and then increase the mana cost again for more damage. More damage is very good. And then over here to the unique and rare and bosses hit damage. That's very strong, so definitely want to get that. So the rest of my points, the 3 points, are going to go here, but I do recommend getting a plus level to Glacier on your chest piece, because eventually getting this quality of life feature where you go down through this branch here, increasing its crit chance, and then also getting some mana back on crits and kills. That's just a nice quality of life feature for like mapping and whatnot. And then using Flame Ward for defensive purposes. It's set up for cast on stun, and then you also want to have the double charge on it, and then convert it to cold and get the Frost Guard and like basically just the defensive nodes here, so you're super tanky when it's on. Focus is going to be giving us haste after channeling. I highly recommend getting Mana Flooded and then Desperate Meditation first when you're leveling this up, because this is like a huge burst of mana regeneration. highly recommend getting Iron Stance and Chilling Aura for less damage taken from chilled. And then I do use it as my teleport ability, so that's kind of tricky when you're playing, because if you're out of mana, you're also going to teleport. So just keep that in mind. Then you do have to like hold it down while it's charging to get that mana back. But I think it's just really nice to combine your movement skill into focus. And then I am using Volcanic Orb, converting it to cold, just for the purpose of like getting enemies that are like far off screen. Like if you see in the map clearing portion of this, there'll be like enemies off to the behind me or off to the edge of the screen, and this is just to deal with them as a little additional damage while I'm doing my thing. And then Arcane Ascendance is basically just for like bosses. When you come up to the boss, you're gonna just turn this on and then spam your Glacier ability. So something like this, you turn it on, increases your hit damage by quite a lot, and then you just spam Glacier on the boss, and you spam it until you're out of mana. And what that'll do is it'll release you, and then you can focus and get your mana back pretty quickly. But that's really good for bossing, and that's basically the whole idea with this build. Is you're using Glacier for your main damage. It's doing a ton of damage on the middle explosion and to bosses. You're using Arcane Ascendance to really beef up that damage just by basically going for increased spell damage. This one's really important, Tranquility up here off to the side, because it will give you global increased mana efficiency, so that will make your Glacier cost less mana, so that's really good. And then you want to just basically put you can put 2, I'd recommend 2 here in Cunning, and then maybe even 3 if you get your mana efficiency really good or have a ton of mana. Power Overload is fine. You don't really need Unstable Energy, but you basically want to have just higher plane maxed out. Maybe max out this Cunning ability, definitely get Tranquility, and then you can kind of just do what you want with the rest of the points. So yeah, that's kind of the idea about the whole build. The important things to have for it is crit chance, cold damage, spell damage, and mana is actually pretty important too. So obviously we're going to also have like crit strike avoidance, all of our resistance is capped, and a shield is good, but I'm also just using a ward generator right now, which is really strong, especially with the fact that we have a lot of ward generation going on in general. The Lost knowledge tree or skill point is really good for that. So, and we're just basically going for cold modifiers on the passive tree, and then basically anything that will give us more mana regeneration is really good too. So that's kind of what that will look like. But I'll put the Last Epoch build planner tool up for this build so you guys can see kind of the progression as you're leveling, like each point where it goes at what level, and see what I choose here for the passives. But overall, I think this build's really fun for just a hit based ice build. For hardcore, obviously the chill and the flame ward setup is going to help our defenses quite a bit, and you really just want to basically just use your combination of skills to number one, take out bosses really quick like this, boss is dead, and then number two, use the combination of like Volcanic Orb to hit far off enemies, and then Glacier for your close enemies to kill them really fast. So this is this build here. I'm going to have another build too that I want to go over as well, so stay tuned for that too.
Alright, so another interesting mage build that I like to play with, and that is going to be even stronger in the upcoming Mage Rune Master patch, is it's basically just using Glacier still. We still kind of have a similar setup, except we're swapping out Glacier nodes, like hit nodes, for the Vortex nodes. So the Vortex nodes are going to create this damage over time area wherever they explode things. I have an objective behind me. Should probably go that way. And so the vortex is creates damage over time area, and enemies inside that area take damage, right? So the other thing we're going to be using in combination with that is BlackHole is getting a massive increase in damage, and so it should be very noticeable on the effectiveness of the build versus, in the current state of the game versus in the new patch. So BlackHole is going to be used for things that have a lot of health. We're going to just pop them down right on top of that thing, and it's going to pull the monsters into our vortexes. So if things do run outside of the vortexes because they're not chilled or whatever, BlackHole is going to pull them back in and keep them there. So right there, that enemy just was frozen, so it didn't have a chance to move really. But you throw down BlackHole, and those black holes will just collapse in on the enemies and pull them into our vortex like that. So it's really cool, and it's also using, basically just Flame Ward for defense, Focus for mana regeneration, and for teleport. And then, like I said, we're just swapping out Glacier nodes for the damage over time Vortex nodes, and then we're getting BlackHole to just basically help with boss damage. So right here we can throw BlackHole down on this group of mobs, and that bird got outside the BlackHole unfortunately, but that's okay. And you just spam that right there. You just spam that vortex, get those, or spam the Glacier to get the vortex down. And the last bit that is similar to the hit-based build is obviously Arcane Transcendence. We're going to pop that down. That's just going to increase our spell damage, which will make our dots do a lot more damage. So right there, just basically everything died. And because we have a lot of defenses while we're in that stance, and the ward generator aspect of the build, we can take quite a lot of damage while we're doing that. So I'm going to throw down the BlackHole on this guy, and add a mana, so we got to get that back. Just like that. There we go. And we'll show off that damage a little bit more one more time here. So we'll go into Arcane Transcendence, throw down our BlackHole, and just start wailing on them like that. And yeah, things die pretty quickly. Now, mind you, this is a character that's not optimized for this at all. Oh, I gotta press R to get out of that. So my damage over time isn't very high or anything, but I just, as far as a concept, this works really well. So I'm going to jump out of this map here and show the passives real quick. It's basically just using the same tree as the previous build, but the only difference is you don't want crit, so you can put those points somewhere else. And then also, what was the other thing that was different in here? I think obviously just make sure you don't have any crit nodes. Oh yeah, the spell damage increase, you don't need that too badly. Like as far as like base hit damage, just because it's a dot ability. And then recollection is really important for the cooldown recovery for BlackHole. And like I said, BlackHole is going to be getting a massive damage increase. So this build will, you could even make BlackHole your main damage dealer if you wanted to. But I really like the Drifting Singularity node to seek down enemies, and I also just think that getting a second BlackHole is a good idea in general, so I get the scattered one as well. And then like I said with Glacier, we're just basically just going over the left side of the tree to get all of these vortex nodes. These other nodes don't really do too much for us. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I will have both of these builds up for you guys to check out on Last Build Planner. Like I said, they're just build concepts, so very rough ideas to just give you guys something to think about as far as what you want to build your characters into. And obviously we have a big exciting patch coming up where Rune Master is going to be the new mastery. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks a lot for checking out the video and for subscribing to the channel, and I will be making some more videos hopefully consistently over the next few months into the end of the year, and try to get to like a consistent schedule. So thanks to everyone for supporting the channel, and yeah, good luck in the new patch, and I hope you have a great time, travelers in Eterra.